It is September 1st, which means it's time to make my September dress. It's also Labor Day, so we got stuff to do later. The rules for my 2025 dress challenge are, it has to be comfortable, it has to be something I'll actually wear, it has to be mostly from my stash, and rule number 4 is it has to have pockets. Duh. We are gonna skip rule number 3 though, because I had a specific vision in mind and I didn't own the fabric. My cousin is getting married in 3 weeks, and it's reminding me of how grateful I am that it's not my wedding. Love you, Anne. This fabric is just what I wanted. Look at this fabric. It's sparkly stars, but they aren't actually glitter, and I really do not enjoy working with glitter because it never comes out. I also bought matching lining. Yeah, if you like my merch, you can't buy this, there's only one. But I did actually make some merch. Do you get it? But first, a brief break because I was last working with Minky. Ugh. One more quick note before I start. I hinted at this in the last couple of videos, but I got a loom! DIY fabric coming not soon. Soonish? He's hiding from the vacuum. I draped this pattern a few days ago, and the first draft was rough. But the second was almost perfect. I also didn't add seam allowance on my pattern, so I'm doing it now, and cut it out from rayon challis lining. I marked my darts in the back of all 3 bodice pieces. I thought I'd try and mix it up a bit for my standard princess seams. I put my star fabric right side down and placed the lining on top so I could flatline this very sheer fabric. Flatlining is where you base 2 pattern pieces together and treat them like one piece going forward. I also did this to the back pieces. And now I can trim the chiffon to size. It's a pretty slippery fabric. Because I'm crazy and went with 3 different seam allowances, I went back and marked the stitching lines for later. Now, I just realized that I'm doing this in the heat erasable pen, which means I can't iron this until it's done. Whoops. I'd say yay, an excuse to not iron, but it's kind of important. I pinned up all 4 of my darts, making sure that the pins went through both lines. I stitched these darts, and I tapered or rounded the ends of the dart since I will not be wearing a bullet bra underneath this dress. The darts are all sewn, but while I was doing that, I got to watch all of my neighbors have fun boating outside. So that was enough labor for Labor Day, and I'm gonna go join them. See ya tomorrow. This is a lot more of a bullet bra than what I was going for. So I went back and changed my darts into an old reliable princess seam. Much better. I tried with the darts, but princess seams are my favorite. And went back and redid all of those steps for my new bodice front. I stitched up my princess seams without any pins because my mock-up seams fit perfectly. Oh, Sky. I guess you're a starry Sky now. I stitched the sides with a 1-inch seam allowance, the shoulders with a 1/2-inch seam allowance, and also the upper back with a 1/2-inch seam allowance. I don't need my seam allowance lines anymore, so I can finally iron everything, including my zipper teeth open. I basted the zipper into the back so I could try it on. I just tried it on and I had a couple of fit adjustments, like I need to move the zipper in here. And I can get it over my head with the back hole stitched up, so that's easy. And I could attach the zipper for good with my invisible zipper foot. I cut 2-inch wide bias tape and sewed it to the neck to be a sort of facing, so I trimmed the seam allowance and folded it over twice so none of the bias tape would be showing, even though it's the same fabric. I hand stitched this on just to the lining, occasionally checking from the front side to make sure I didn't get any other fabric. I tried to do an actual facing for the back hole, but gave up and just did the bias tape again. The bodice is done. I know that my drawing had bishop sleeves, but I haven't quite decided on my final sleeve decision yet, so I'm going to instead draft the skirt. For the front of the skirt, I cut 2 of these shapes, 1 for each side and 2 of the back, and also the same panels from the lining fabric. And I can't forget the all-important pockets. I am 9 for 9 on pockets in this challenge, by the way. But first, my pumpkin bread is done. It smells delicious. Nom nom nom. Now, because of this swoopy thing here, and this does continue up here, this assembly is going to be a little bit complicated. I have the back, the top side, the bottom side, and then the other back. But I also have to put pockets in this seam. Can't not have pockets. So, I'm going to mark where the pockets go on the lining layer. And then, well, I'll get to that in a minute. I marked where I wanted the pockets to go and pinned one on before I ran into a problem. Okay, so since this is the top of the pocket mark and since this sticks out past here, I'm gonna have to attach the flounce on first before I can do this. And I haven't cut the flounce yet, so guess I'll do that. All right, new plan. I'm just gonna move the pocket bag up a little bit so it doesn't interfere. I stitched the 4 pocket pieces on all 4 of the future side seams and also understitched them, only to remember now that I used a facing on the April dress. Oh well. I ironed the wrinkles out of everything and the pockets into place. I did some geometry to figure out the flounces, and I will need 6 of these donuts to cover the bottom. I cut one out by tracing it with a Sharpie, but then came to my senses and switched to my rotary cutter. I left this hanging for a couple of days so the bias could stretch, so the next step is to take it down and trim them to fit. I also managed to take a chunk out of my hand, but at least I have a nice coordinating band-aid. It's funny how differently the 2 fabrics' bias is stretched. Also, I cut the grain line in different directions, so that probably didn't help. I cut one side of each of my 6 rings so that I could serge them into 2 sets of 3. 1 for each side. My drawing has the beginning of the flounce tapered, so I trimmed them down. To hem them, I used my arch nemesis or best friend, depending on the day, the rolled hem foot. Today we were friends. I stitched and serged the flounce onto most of the front panel, but stopping before the future side seam. Also at night, because my embroidery machine was still running. I'm getting ahead on Christmas presents. I was having a good time, but Emmy was over it. It is the next day. Emmy is now well rested and also exhausted because we went to the PARK. And I'm gonna see if I can finish this skirt today. Hopefully someone will let me do that. I put the side seam together and pinned around the pocket. I'm not gonna pin this part because I'm gonna have these be 2 separate layers. I've done this before a lot as a French seam. I did serge it ahead of time this time, and I'm not gonna do a French seam. So I stitched the top and around the pocket bag. To keep the layers separate, I'm gonna pull the lining off to the side and just stitch on the chiffon. The 2 separate skirt seams make for excellent twirling. And I go back up here and grab the lining and leave a little bit of a gap there. I did the other side, and then I could finish attaching the flounce. This is giving me slight Cinderella flashbacks. Time to attach the skirt and the bodice. I pin it together to check one thing first. This is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. Plus, you know, pockets. Oh my gosh. I was debating adding a waistband, so I wanted to try it on before I sewed the waist seam, and I don't want a waistband. This is great. And also, the haul is perfect. I fixed some of that pinning and sewed the waist seam, and with that, the skirt is attached. And I can sew the rest of the invisible zipper. I sewed below the zipper with separate seams again, and all that's left is the lining hem. Every year with the first cool fall breeze, suddenly I crave scary movies. So if you have any good suggestions, let me know what to put on my watch list. I love this dress. The whole base dress is done except for the matter of sleeves, because my original drawing had sleeves, but I don't know, I kind of like it without, but also it's a September wedding. I'm gonna do an Instagram poll and see what everyone decides and either make sleeves or just hem the sleeve holes tomorrow. Just kidding. Today we were in the kitchen because it is my husband's birthday and he asked me for just one thing for his birthday, which is the petit fours that I made for the Downton Abbey series finale. That was a long time ago. I was trying to be fancy and made a whole tea party for our guests. I don't have the original recipes anymore, but it's a pound cake that I cut in half. A buttercream with pink food coloring, and you make a buttercream sandwich and frost the whole outside and top it with a raspberry. I have no idea how I got the frosting so smooth last time. Look at this little guy! He climbed up the stairs all by himself. We did help him into the lake though. There's a whole flight of stairs down to the lake. The people chose sleeves, so let's get to making sleeves. And I have a goggle imprint. I was making soap and I value my eyeballs. Let's get to making some sleeves. I made a mock-up, but I wanted to change a couple things, including the width, which is what I'm doing here with the ruler. I decided to do French seams on the sleeves, so I sewed them backwards, trimmed down the seam allowance, and sewed them right sides together. If you need a tutorial, that probably wasn't it. I ran a gathering stitch at the top of the sleeve head. I pinned the sleeve in, starting at the bottom seam and all the way up to the top, where I adjusted the gathers slightly. One quick stitch and a serge, and you'd think I'd be done, but no. I wanted the seam allowance to stay in the bodice, so I hand-stitched it to the lining. I have one step left, but someone has decided that it is no longer sewing time. He helped me hand sew the sleeves on by coming and sitting kind of on top of it and also trying to lick the needle, but I saw that coming, so I'd already covered it with my finger. He has no sense of self-preservation at all. Oh, he's my goofball. Well, I wanted a snuggle companion. Sky may have won that day, but I won the next. I folded the sleeve edge over twice to form a channel for the elastic. I stitched this edge way over here, but leaving a gap so I could thread in the elastic, which I had measured earlier to be my wrist plus an overlap. And to keep the other end from being sucked in while I insert the elastic, I pin it to the side. I zigzag stitched the overlap, straight stitched the gap closed, completely out of focus, and it was done! I am so happy with how this dress turned out. It is absolutely what I wanted. I'm not gonna show you just yet though. I'm not gonna do the reveal this weekend because my friends from high school are coming up for a visit, so I'm planning on having a really great weekend and not being productive at all. But in the meantime, I think I'm gonna make a matching scrunchie. I really can't do much else with my scraps than scrunchies. I'm so excited. It's so twirly. We had the best weekend. It included taking the Jurassic Park Jeep to go apple picking, boating with a bald eagle and a plane, other boating shenanigans, the obligatory post-apple picking apple crisp, oh, and lots of belly rubs. Duh. Also, my niece found out about my YouTube channel and she was speechless. I think I won the Coolest Aunt Ever award. Look at this handsome boy in his bow tie. Look at that bow tie. I really love this dress. It is so twirly and fun, and it has pockets, so that's a big win. Obviously, on the day, I will not be wearing these shoes. I will be wearing these shoes because, no. I don't think I would change a single thing about this dress. I know my drawing had the seams coming in a little bit, but it wasn't very comfortable that way, so I changed that. That was a duck. Can't wait to show you what I make next for October. It'll be a surprise though, because I also don't know what it is going to be yet. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye everybody! These are very slippery shoes.